Hello, friends. Welcome all to a very important session of 3-day virtual digital transformation conclave. Now we have a panel discussion on leveraging digital India initiatives through technology-based solutions for governance and public service delivery. And for that, we have very eminent speakers with us who will be highlighting various aspects of digital interventions for governance and how to take public service delivery to the next level. Let me welcome Sri J. Vidyasagar Reddy, IT Advisor to the Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Andhra Pradesh. We welcome Mr. Vidyasagar.
Thank you.
Let me welcome E.T. Panday, Chief Commercial Manager, Passenger Services, Central Railways. We welcome E.T. Panday.
Hello, thank you.
Let me welcome Mr. Arun Sharma, Director, Direct Benefit Transfer, Government of India. Thanks, Mr. Sharma, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So we have three speakers from three different spheres of governance. One from state, who will be touching base upon the initiatives being taken in the state of Andhra Pradesh. One from railways, a very important part of the governance system in India, and one from DBT. We know how DBT has transformed the way services have been rendered to the poorer section of the society and kind of technology intervention done in DBT. With this, let me first ask the question to Mr. Vidyasagar Jagdam. My first question to you will be your thoughts on how leveraging digital India can ensure effective ways of public service delivery in India, especially keeping in mind the realities of new world order.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here on your show, and hello to the fellow panel members. Technology has now become a necessity rather than a luxury or a novelty, so there's no question that we must leverage it to improve efficiency and effectiveness of everything we do. And that includes the delivery of public services. What government is trying to do, we can do things cheaper, better, faster by leveraging technologies, and that's what I think we are all here trying to do. Increases the speed of delivery, provides certain transparency into the process on what is going on, and saves time and money on paperwork, lost or misplaced files. I'm sure there are numerous examples everyone is aware of. It can be integrated with other systems, so make things across the board from start to finish completely visible to the stakeholders. So we in AP State, the government is utilizing technology platform now to provide more than 500 citizen services to the citizens digitally. Honorable CM Garu has instituted the village and ward secretariat system along with the Grama and ward volunteer system last year for Gandhi Jayanti. So we just celebrated 1 year anniversary, and I think they have delivered more than 1 crore citizen service requests so far. So this initiative is to progress the Grama Swaraj as it happens on Gandhi Jayanti and take the government to the doorstep of our citizens. And that is the initiative that has been a key contributor for our state government services that we are delivering to the citizens. Typically, the way it happens is citizens can request a service, they can approach their volunteers, or they can approach their village or ward secretariat. The functionary will enter the request into the system. It is routed based on what department it is and what service it is. It's routed to the appropriate department officials for processing. And then they forward it to the next step in the workflow. And these things have SLAs, time bound. So when we see that someone is not responding on time or the SLA is missing, there can be alerts generated and the information is displayed on dashboards for higher officials to work on them and to inquire if there are any problems and fix them on the way. This is how typically it works. And this system, the technology platform went live January 26th of this year and there's continuous improvement as we see the process and as we see things that need to be improved, we continuously monitor that and do that and enhance the platform. Some of the examples I can show is pension disbursement, for example, also leverages to lakhs of eligible beneficiaries. It's completed on the first of each month. There is no taking multiple days or taking time here. They leverage technology. Mobile app in the smartphones of all of the volunteers and functionaries tells them who are the people that need to be given the pensions. Then biometric authentication by fingerprint to make sure that we are giving it to the right person and the person is receiving it, evidence documented. So these things happen before lunch on the first of the month. Most of the, about 90% of the people have already received their pensions. Then obviously there are some people who are not home, or they're out of town and things like that. So it may take a little bit of time. But this has been a great initiative for us to deliver services. And this is one of the few services that is not direct benefit to the bank account. So it has to be cash disbursement to the beneficiaries for whatever reasons that's happening. If it is direct benefit, then it would be instantaneous, obviously. But looking at a manual process like that and trying to complete these things in just a few hours, once a month, to lakhs of people without missing a beat, that's possible only by leveraging technology. The other example I would point out is telemedicine services. This initiative started during the COVID lockdown phase, and it's continuing, and it will continue. Any citizen can call a toll-free number. They know what number it is. We advertise that, and it give a missed call. Then the call center agent will return the call to the citizen within a few minutes, and we monitor the SLAs, how long it takes typically to call them back, and if all the calls received are returned, and so on and so forth. Then they collect the information. There is a group of doctors who are available to provide consultation, and if necessary, prescription medication is also delivered using the Grama volunteer system we have in place as necessary. The other example would be the COVID response. So we developed a COVID response platform for contact tracing, monitoring the quarantined and the suspected cases, patient management. Once we know someone is a suspect, how do you deal with them? From transporting them to medical facilities, testing them, keeping them isolated during the test. If they're positive, great. If they're if they're positive, they need to be treated. If they're negative, that's good. They can be discharged. So treatment of positive patients in quarantine facilities as well as in hospitals, depending on the severity. This whole process was enabled through the technology that helped the doctors, the patients, and the other stakeholders, including government officials, to monitor each and every individual that went through the system. Now we're talking about several lakhs people as of date. And all these people went through seamlessly the system. And we have records of who these people are, what happened, how they were treated, and if there's any gaps in the medical infrastructure or the process or the services. Again, enabled only because we were leveraging technology. Another thing we did during the COVID lockdown is the emergency passes for people who needed to travel. And this was before the restrictions were lifted. So people would apply online, either through their phone or on computers. The application for the e-pass would come to the officials who need to process it. And this was done, again, it's a technology application that enabled it. Once the processing was completed, the passes were sent to the smartphones as a text message. And it included a QR code. So police or other officials could scan the QR code that gives them the information, who these people are, what is the purpose, for how long is the pass valid, what can they do with that, and all that information. So providing these kind of services. And now some of the other services like ration cards, we call them rice cards now here. There is friendly competition going on among the various Grama secretariats and volunteers. Last month, latest news was a person who was eligible for a ration card applied for that. And the process was completed through, I think it requires 3 or 4 officials to review and approve and print and laminate a card and hand over to the person. They told me it was done in about 15 to 20 minutes. So just imagine how fast it happened. And if 15 to 20 minutes, I don't think that should be the benchmark, but to say less than an hour, something that used to take God knows how long. So these are the kind of things that we can do and continue to do, leveraging technology. I'll stop here and let other members add their thoughts.
I can say only one thing, that remarkable work being done in the state of Andhra Pradesh when it comes to using technology and innovation. for empowering citizens with the government service delivery. That's quite brilliant. With this, I come to PC Panday, uh, Chief Commercial Manager, Passenger Services, Central Railways. Uh, Ms. Pandey, your thoughts on how uh, more and more digital India can be leveraged for ensuring services to the citizen, and maybe some points on how Central Railways is using technology uh, to bring some change, transformation in the passenger amenity and all those things.
First and foremost, I want to thank for having invited me and given me this platform. Indian Railways is huge. I was particularly concentrated on Central Railway because all the schemes for digital transformation have been adopted by the Ministry of Railways, and zonal railways have then adopted it accordingly with very little scope of change. However, in the sphere of passenger services, as railway that is central has done some bit of job. Now, if you look at Indian Railways as a whole, you find that they're carrying about 2.31 crore passengers every day, running about 13,000 trains, running about 9,800 freight trains. But for digital transformation, there are eight spheres which are clearly demarcated. One, of course, is the passenger side. The second is the freight side. The third is your data analysis. Your fourth is your cashless transaction. Your fifth is your dashboard items, which we use to monitor. Then there is e-auctioning, e-procurement, and certain other incentive schemes which have been built into the system so that the customer can take advantage of the same. All this becomes very, very important during COVID times because there is less of interaction, less of file movement, and more digitization is required as the need of the hour. We all are aware of the passenger reservation system because I think that's continued since 1986. But we must understand that in a matter of seconds, we are issuing about 830 tickets at an all India level, and about 900 inquiries impinge on the same platform. Having said that, we have progressed to e-tickets now, and from e-tickets we are going to paperless. So the new word now is the QR code indicated on your mobile phone, which is going to be read by machines, and so the ticket which you had in your hand as a proof for travel is going to be done away with. In fact, most of the transactions now, 65% of transactions on Indian Railways and about 80% on Central Railway alone has become cashless. This is a very big step forward considering the fact that we are an absolute service organization and most of our transactions have so far been monetary and across the counters. In the QR code facility, all details of the at one point of time is passed on to your mobile, and then we have special mobile machines which have been given to the staff, which is of course our ticket checking staff, which is now included on board. So Central Railway has about 370 machines. 1,000 odd has gone to Northern Railway, but overall Indian Railways has procured 5,000 such machines to go and be able to read tickets at a distance. In COVID times, this becomes very important. In the same manner, earlier tickets were being issued and being checked at platforms before entry of passengers. Now we've got flap gates installed, and wherever flap gates are not there, QR code is being read. This is being done for both the passenger reservation, that is the long distance train, and also for the suburban train, which is your UTS system. That brings me to the second part of it. In the unreserved ticketing system, again a digital platform where we have gone digital with a mobile app, and Central Railway issues the highest number of mobile tickets on an all India basis. To give further encouragement to it, we give a 5% bonus every time you use the mobile app, which has got a railway wallet also from which it can be recharged automatically. This is a major step, and although mobile ticketing came into its foray about 3 or 4 years back, it is in the post-COVID times that it is going to be used more often. The freight schemes. In freight, we have taken a giant leap. So we've got two kinds of systems. One is your terminal management system and one is your freight operation system. the TMS and the voice are integrated together. So you can load the system, you can indent, means ask for a wagon or a train to load your freight at any point of time. You need your e-payment online, your ERR, which is your railway receipt. Which earlier used to be physically transferred in the wagon itself from one location to the destination, is now being transferred electronically. And it see the movement of your wagons. Like all of you do PNR inquiry, all of you do your train system inquiry. And yes, at a particular point of time when you really want to know the status of your PNR, the system hangs. But that's going to be there. A system which is going to be so used has to have that kind of a problem. But we are increasing the database usage of the thing, and along with it, we are providing a free platform where automatic kind of customer interface has been developed. Now, certain schemes also, where if you have booked under a particular scheme, the system, which is your call and your TMS, will calculate your kilometers online and give you the rebate automatically. You do not have to come to the office, go to several chairs, and then get your rebate. Your rebate has been inbuilt into the system. So, for example, if there is a train load, which we call a wagon load in the railway terminology, if it's a freight train, which is returning in a particular direction where there is no freight available, so it's an empty flow direction. In that case, the system, if whenever anybody would want to load in such a train, any good would get an automatic rebate of 30%, 15%, depending upon the kilometers it has traveled. These kind of incentives which are being passed on to the customers are giving us a new phase, and the fact that you don't have to run around and look around for your wagons. Sometimes the delivery has been the weakest link in the railway system. Now what you can do is you have a registration number, like you have a PNR number, you have an FRN number, which is your freight number. With that number, you can log into the FOI system and you can find out the location of your wagon wherever it is, so that you know that this is your expected time of delivery. And likewise, you can then plan your next consignment, which you want to book with the railways. Along with this, all schemes which have come up in COVID times, we have provided a number of incentives to the customers to come forward in a big way. All these people have approached us, and all these schemes are available online. People can go inquire about it, and not only that, book their goods accordingly. Now we have POS machines on each and every counter of the railway system. So whether you want to go to a good shed, or whether you go to a PRS, or whether you go to a booking office, all three locations for passenger interface, you will find a POS machine to make a digital transaction. You must have heard that Central Railway has run the first Kisan Rail for India. And during this period of time, a very small division of Central Railway, which is Shorapur, which is back and beyond, and a small city called Sangola, that station has now got a POS for the farmers also to make this kind of a digital transaction. For us, this is a reformation which has come forward. And another step which is very soon coming, we are going to load another Kisan Special, which is going to be going almost up to Bangladesh, but as of now, we'll be going to Delhi. It's coming around the 14th of October. In that case, also, we are getting e-indents, and people are going to be loading digitally. And for us, it's a way forward, because we are now closing on human interactions and making things available on a digital platform for everybody to see. So like Mr. Vidya Sagar said, that there's a transparency in the system. For railways, it's a huge one step forward. Similarly, we've got developed a dashboard called the e-Drishti, in which each division of the Indian Railways is putting in all details about its operational efficiency, its commercial standing, how much of outstanding it has, what are its cleanliness areas of concern, what are the developmental ratios which have come up, which are the works which have been joined. So now even outsiders can know whether a particular FOB which they have proposed, or particular station development or passenger amenity item which they thought that they have proposed, how far is that going? So digitization in railways has come to stay, and with time, it is going to only strengthen and improve. With that, I want to hand over to the next speaker. Thank you so much.
That was quite a detailed speech, I must say, where we can see the entire gamut of railway and how railways using digital interventions have been quite clearly spelled out by Yuti Panday. Thanks for that. We'll come back to you. Do you have Mr. Arun Sharma with us? I can see his screen going on and off. Yeah, I think Arun Sharma is with us. Mr. Sharma, you're part of DBT and you're the director in DBT in Government of India. I think one of the game-changing programs of Government of India has been DBT, where technology has been actually used to bring transformation. Your thoughts on digital India and how it can actually, or it is actually helping for government service delivery to citizens?
Sure. Thank you, Shoji, and my panel members. I think very good examples have been provided by both the other speakers for specific implementation of digital technologies at the ground level in Andhra Pradesh and in railways. And I can only add to that at a higher level, we in the Cabinet Secretariat don't implement things directly. The mission was created to overstate and provide any kind of gap filling wherever they may arise in any aspect of technology or policy or regulatory aspects of these. Having said that, in India, in Government of India, currently there are about 380 schemes where DBT or direct benefits are delivered to end beneficiaries. Last year, we supplied to about 1.45 billion people, which is more than the population of India, but these are non-unique beneficiaries, meaning that one beneficiary can access his PDS, his ration. He can also access scholarship through the National Scholarship Portal, pensions, and so on. So counting all of that, we were more than 145 crore beneficiaries who availed of some of the other benefit in the central government. If we take state governments, then there are another 3,000 schemes that are running across all the states. And these are state level or district level interventions, as the case may be. And having said that, it's again, the entire ecosystem is digital. We cannot imagine or we cannot run any of this if the ecosystem is not enabled by digital provisions. Our specific intervention is or can be broken down into 4 verticals. The first one being biometric ID, which is Aadhaar. And although the program was started in 2009-10, but it was in 2013-14 when it actually started picking up. As of now, we have more than 1.26 billion, 126 crore Aadhaar cards that have been, Aadhaar numbers that have been issued. The other aspects are banking services. Again, 114 crore bank accounts exist in the country. And the third is the mobile numbers, which what I'm drawing to is the JAM Trinity and how we enable all of this. Again, close to 120 crore mobile phones exist in the country with differing tele densities. In a state like Delhi, the tele density is 300%, where one person on an average has 3 mobile connections. But the poorest is in Bihar, where it is only about 53%, where between 2 mobile connections. What connects all of this is the digitally enabled government procedures and processes. Was referred to earlier by Mr. Reddy. I think that's the soul or the heart of this entire procedure. Is other 3 initiatives, Aadhaar was government driven. Bank accounts in the Jagdam scheme was government driven. 40 crore new bank accounts were opened. but largely it has been direct push by the market forces also. The telecom revolution in India started in late 90s, and slowly we've come to a stage where we have the largest number of connections and so on anywhere in the world, barring China. But what can run all this is the government procedures, which was referred to earlier by Mr. Reddy, for ensuring transparency, removing any kind of inefficiencies, reducing middlemen. If you have an interface directly connects the beneficiary or a citizen to the establishment without giving much discretion to the officials, that is the we are coming to. And there are, as I mentioned, 80 plus programs that are there with the current government of India's purview. These benefits to about 81,000 crore as of last year, and it has been increasing. I mean, what count as DBT is assured that this benefit has gone to an Aadhaar enabled beneficiary. I mean, there are exception mechanisms available. Don't, as per the Supreme Court order, insist upon 100% Aadhaar authentication. It's encouraged that Aadhaar is used as the ID artifact and possible. But if that is not the case, there are exceptions, guidelines that have been issued. Even more beneficiaries prefer. It's a misnomer when questions come to us that, what if somebody does not want to share their details and all? No beneficiary ever details. So they prefer sharing their Aadhaar details because they are ensured delivery of benefit. The government prefers Aadhaar because it, again, for the government, it's an assurance that the benefit is going to the intended beneficiary. And what we count, what I quoted, 3,81,000 crore, is the amount that has gone to an Aadhaar authenticated beneficiary. The items are higher, but we discard, we don't cut as a DT. So this is the overview. The latest initiative, the Prime Minister and this government, right from 2015, Jagdam accounts, we have banking outreach now, except in the northeast. Meghalaya is a little at the back end. Manipur and Arun, there are some areas that have sufficient coverage, but cover sufficiently with banking outreach and coverage. There and Aadhaar, as I mentioned, but it should be able to deliver benefits and services right in the hands of the beneficiary. So this is what we're trying to do now. For every scheme and service that I mentioned, we are developing an app the departments to develop apps which are then being populated on Umang. Umang stands for New Unified Mobile Application for New Age Governance. It's available on Play Store and on the iOS. And once you download it, you can see all schemes and services of government, not just central government, but state governments also are being populated every day. We are adding about 25 to 30 schemes on that. So at saturation, at scale, we'll have all the schemes and services. This will be geotagged. So if a person is in Andhra Pradesh, they'll only see schemes that are relevant to Andhra Pradesh. They should not see something that is for Bihar. And the vision is end-to-end delivery. So right from the application, most of the programs in government are based on assisted models. In some government official will go even Narega, a beneficiary directly cannot apply for any kind of work that is sought by him. It's the panchayat executive who can enroll panchayat executive and not with the beneficiary. We're changing that. All the services first of all have an interface or an application which initially that using the necessary document about 50 odd issuers available on DigiLocker, but this is amazing. You have all your any office or any establishment requires available on DigiLocker, which you can directly produce, and these are authenticated. And you have to store.
I think there's some
the DigiLocker.
network issue
Then you
with
have the
Mr. Arun
consent
Sharma, I guess.
built into this, where the beneficiary will agree that this is being shared as per his consent and his finally all of this is being sought out to be delivered on the mobile. Then we have the complete delivery using. So I'll stop and wait for the next.
Yeah, so I think DBT has been a game changer, no doubt about it, and kind of integration it has happened for making DBT a success. Be it other integration, everything, it has been a game changer. I think there was some connectivity issue with Mr. Arun Sharma, his video and audio. Sometimes it was breaking. That is the challenge. That is also a challenge of using technology. We have to live with that. And taking cue from what I've said, that's the challenge of using technology. I'll put this next question to Mr. J. Vidyasagar Reddy. We're talking about a lot of data handling and data collection and managing that data. Technology is all there. But at the same time, this is going to pose a huge challenge also for government workforce to manage those kind of data. What, according to you, are the main challenges when it comes to handling that data and how those challenges can be addressed? Maybe 5 minutes each to all of our speakers for this question. If you can unmute yourself, yeah.
So to echo what Mr. Sharma was talking about, we in AP government have first-hand experience the huge benefit of doing the DBT. The Honorable CM Garu has his Navaratnalu program, the 9 gems, which are helping the state both with the growth as well as with delivering benefits to the citizens. To use his words, on a saturation basis, all the eligible beneficiaries, regardless of any other consideration or without any other consideration, shall be given the benefits that they deserve. And the direct benefit transfer, thousands of crores of rupees, have it's been an immense help to them without anything that they need to do. No running around government offices, no asking for anything, just straight up they become eligible. It's notified, the lists are posted, and on the day that the Honorable CM Garu is announcing, their bank accounts see the balance. There is nothing, no cost to them. So it's been a pleasant surprise as well as a huge step forward in how government is serving the people. And to your point, this brings along with it the immense challenge of protecting the data. Now, all of these government departments, by the nature of asking for a benefit, the citizen is providing a lot of personal information to the government, saying their age, Aadhaar card number, bank account numbers, their family information. So we owe it to them to protect the data, the privacy of the citizens, as well as the sanctity and security of the data we have. So it is a challenge. It's a two-part thing. One is data security. The other one is privacy and confidentiality. we do have to, and we do follow the central government guidelines on data privacy. What can you use this information for? Sensitive data that is owned by the citizens can only be used for the permissible purpose. What's the purpose? They shared that data with us so we can see if they're eligible for certain benefits and deliver those benefits. That is it. So the data must not be shared with others for any other purpose. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. So the second aspect is, so the first one, this is being done through the policies and educating the stakeholders on what they can and cannot do with the data. So you tell the government department, your department received this information for this purpose. You can't use it for other purpose. You can't share it for anything else. Then the second aspect is government now has to store and keep and maintain and secure this data. So most of our applications, they reside similar to other states as well as central government as well in the state data center. So that has to be protected. Access control, who can access the data? Do you have firewalls? Do you monitor who is doing what with the data? And if something is happening, are there systems that alert you? So all these things. But also, currently, some of the systems are maintained on the cloud. So we do have several departments using central government approved cloud infrastructure providers. So we need to make sure that the same controls, not just access controls or encryption or what is happening to the data, transferring those, copying those kind of things, that need to be maintained on the cloud as well by the cloud service providers. So that's what we need to ensure is happening. And it has to be a constant ongoing process, not an annual audit where you check something one time and say, oh yeah, this is in place, so now we can go back to sleep until the next year. No, it's an ongoing daily process. And monitoring it, having metrics, having dashboards that show what's happening and alert and all these things. So primarily, we take care of the data security as well as ensuring that the privacy of the data and use it only for the purpose for which the citizen has authorized us to use the data. These are the two elements we need to do. It's an ongoing challenge, and we hear a lot more in other parts of the world about data leaks. In our country, one of the observations is citizens also must value their information. That is something I see is missing. People are very fast and open to share all of their information online to perfect strangers for just no good reason, and that's the surprising thing. People need to be educated to value their data. Don't share your date of birth, your bank accounts, all these things. So that is one part that I think there's a lot more work to be done on the government side also. I mean, obviously there is work to be done, there's room for improvement, but it is well on the way and we are working on that, educating people that information is sacred and valuable, so you need to protect it and save it, and don't fall for these various phishing or other scams where people are trying to get information. And this is again, this is an ongoing program, and this has to continue by educating the citizens as well as the government officials who handle citizens data.
Very important, very important. If I can take one line from what you've said, that educating citizens about the importance of data. We know that they say that data is a new oil. We need to conserve oil. We need to conserve water. We need to conserve data, and we have to use data. We have to be aware of ourselves about the importance of data. Even a minuscule data is very important for yourself, not only for yourself but others also. That, and we have to have a respect for data privacy. We as a citizen also has to look into that. That's a very important point. We don't have much time. Iti Panday, 5 minutes to you. Your thoughts on the challenges of digital intervention for governance?
Challenges are because my passengers as such are of a category which are not being exposed to digitalization. We are talking about the part which comes off as in the passenger segment. The freight segment is very well developed, and here we have a lot of glitches, particularly in terms of payment to the passengers, because what happens is typically in an e-payment procedure, sometimes the swipe becomes double and we are not able to trace the link.
and then we have to tie up with the banks. So first and foremost challenge that we are facing is with the banking sector and with their network issues. We have to ensure that the network which the banking system has is ongoing all the time. That is very, very important. One issue is that. Second, in the PRS system, we find that in the ticketing system itself, there are hackers, they enter, and particularly for Tatkal ticket, where the ticket is to be issued just one day in advance, we find certain advanced apps which are being used and certain softwares by which you can book tickets within a second of it being released in the system. That is something which is to be done as an ongoing process and needs to be flushed out on a continuous basis. But most important is that we have to encourage our passengers to go more digital, to buy more e-tickets rather than coming to the counters. That like I said, we have reached almost 80%, but in coming times it has to be 100%. And I think the e-mobility card or the smart card that the suburban system is trying to put into place with the MMRDA and with the best services, which is going to be one card which is being going to be used by the buses as well as by the metros and the suburban system of Mumbai, is a very big step forward. And we are having waterways which is also going to join us very soon in the scheme of things. Things have been put in place, but that one card thing which is going to unite all and integrate all the transport system is the biggest challenge which we now need to implement presently in the post COVID scenario, if there is a post COVID scenario. Thank you so much.
I really like that if, and we all hope that that if will come, be obviated very soon, and we'll have a post-COVID scenario soon. We all are praying for that. I don't think we can see Arun Sharma ji. I think there's some connectivity issue with him. No, his video is coming and going. So before wrapping up the session, I'll just take the liberty of asking one more question, 30 seconds max to each of you. What has been the greatest learning out of this pandemic when you talk about governance? Quickly, 30 seconds to both of you each. We can start with Jay Vidya.
Sure. For me, it's a pleasant surprise. I came last year to this role after working for 25 years in the US, and thought that we think of third world countries and not having proper infrastructure, technology, resources to deal with things. We have done a fantastic job, both central government in India and particularly the state government, which I've had the pleasure and the honor of being a part of and looking closely from inside, how we worked through this, how we handled it, how we were able to continue to deliver citizen services during the pandemic while the state government was still working. I mean, even during the lifting the restriction stage, there was 1/3 and half and 1/4 strength work in government offices. Still, the work was being done, enabling technologies, working from home, people moving files through e-office. So that's like I said, I am humbled to see that a large and diverse country like India with different requirements across the board was able to handle these things. And the way we were able to innovate, things that we didn't think about before, they were thrown into our laps and on our tables. So we just went with it. We adapted to the change. We innovated. We did whatever we needed to do to take care of the situation, and kept improving on what we used to do before. And I think that's to me, it's this is rather than talking about the challenges and stuff, it's the accomplishments that speak a lot.
Quickly, Mr. Arun Sharma, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, your thoughts on the greatest learning out of this pandemic when we talk about governance ecosystem in India.
I'm sorry, this connection is quite bad for me. And I don't think it's fair to anyone that I speak in such a patchy connection. So thank you.
Okay. But now you're audible and visible both, so you can quickly sum up in 30, 45 seconds.
Again, I could not hear you properly. I request
I
the
think
other.
that you are now perfectly visible and audible, so you can sum up with 30 seconds in your hand.
I didn't hear the questions. I'm saying
Okay,
just the other panelists can respond. I'll excuse myself. Thank you.
okay. Iti Pandey, quickly, we are going to finish this session quickly, 30 to 45 seconds. Your opinion on what has been the biggest learning out of this pandemic when you talk about the governance and especially railways. We know railways did a maintenance job during the lockdown. We saw in news reports. But
So
apart from
we've
that,
we've done an absolutely humane job of carrying migrants. Of course, we got a lot of flake for what we did, but we actually moved about 6.63 lakh people from one part of the country to the other part of the country. We lost one or two trains in the system because of the huge numbers that we did in a very short period of time. But we rose to the occasion. We took payments from the government where there were no payments. Also, we ran the train. We provided food and water, whatever we could. So I think that ours is a robust system and knows how to rise up to the challenge. The system has been, of course, taken for granted for a long period of time. But it is of now that we understand the importance of sanitization, we understand the importance of running trains in a clean way. I think that is one of the biggest lessons that we've learned in this time.
that's quite an interesting thought, and I think it's unfortunate that a pandemic like this has taught us many things, basic things, which actually need to be done since long. But I think that every challenge actually comes up with an opportunity, and this unprecedented challenge has given the chance to the country called India and the world over to rise up to the occasion and come up with new ways of transformation, be it digital, be it physical, be it mental, so that we can all become a better society, a better country to live in. On this note, I'd like to thank both of you and Mr. Arun Sharma for joining us for this session. And we'll be shortly taking a short break, and then we'll be joined by other set of panelists for other session. Thanks, J. Vidya Reddy for joining us today, and
Thank
Iti
you.
Pandey for joining us today, and also Mr. Arun Sharma. I think there's some connectivity issue. Thanks to three of you for joining us for this a very important panel discussion on leveraging digital in India for public service delivery. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. My pleasure.